We live in an age of infinite choice, but we're more anxious than ever. In the pursuit of more success, more beauty, more validation, something deep within us is starving. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what exactly are you chasing? More money, a better body, the next promotion, a bigger flat, a better partner. We all chase something. We whisper it to ourselves in quiet moments. Just one more goal, just one more step. Once I land that dream job, then I'll finally feel content. Once the right person walks into my life, then I'll be whole. We string our happiness to the future like a carrot on a stick, always just out of reach. Always. Almost there. But have you ever noticed? The moment arrives, and somehow it's never quite enough. The feeling fades, and the chase begins again. But what if this chase was the very thing making us miserable? Today, we're stepping back. We're asking what the ancient wisdom of Buddhism can teach us about our modern condition, this relentless pursuit of desire. Perhaps right now you're not fully awake, but by the end of this video, you just might be. Chapter 1. What is Buddhism? Really? Before we dive any deeper, we need to clarify what we're actually talking about. Buddhism. It's often labeled a religion, placed on shelves next to rituals and gods and temples. But for many who walk the path, especially monks and lay practitioners, Buddhism isn't a religion in the conventional sense at all. There's no creator god to worship, no divine commandments to obey. Instead, it offers something much more direct and arguably more radical, a way of seeing. Not just seeing in the visual sense, but in the deepest sense, seeing reality clearly as it truly is, beyond illusion. It began over 2,500 years ago in what is now Nepal in India. A sheltered prince named Siddhartha Gautama was born into comfort, luxury, and certainty. But one day, he stepped outside the palace walls, and everything changed. He saw an old man, a sick man, a corpse. For the first time, he saw the reality of suffering, and instead of turning back, instead of retreating into comfort, he walked away from everything. He left behind his riches, his family, his status, not in despair, but in pursuit, a pursuit of truth. After years of intense searching, through study, meditation, and even self-denial, he experienced a profound shift in consciousness. Not a supernatural event, but a deep, clear seeing. He became the Buddha, literally, the awakened one. Not because he found God, but because he saw through the illusion that most of us live under every day. He saw the patterns that create suffering in the human mind, and more importantly, he saw how to break them. This is the heart of Buddhism, not worship, not blind belief, understanding. And this understanding begins with what are known as the Four Noble Truths, the foundation of Buddhist thought. 1. Life involves suffering. The word in Pali is dukkha. It doesn't just mean pain, it means dissatisfaction. That gnawing sense that something is missing, that things aren't quite right. 2. Suffering arises from desire, from clinging, craving, and attachment, wanting things to be different from how they are. 3. There is a way to end this suffering. It's not hopeless. There is a path forward. 4. That path is the Eightfold Path, a practical guide to living wisely, ethically, and mindfully. This isn't abstract philosophy, and it's not mystical dogma. It's more like a user manual for the human condition, a way to examine your mind, your habits, your impulses, and to free yourself from the suffering they create. And here's the catch. It's not about achieving bliss or becoming superhuman. It's about waking up. Waking up to the present moment. Waking up from the stories we tell ourselves. Waking up from the endless chase for something more. Because sometimes the greatest illusion isn't that life is full of pain. It's the belief that happiness lies just one more achievement away. That awakening is what we'll explore in this video. Chapter 2. Awakening in the Age of Anxiety. You wake up. Before you even sit up, your hand reaches instinctively for the phone. A screen lights up your face. Notifications, messages, likes, news. You scroll. You compare. You see someone doing better, earning more, looking better, living larger. You feel a flicker of panic, a pulse of worry. You start planning your day, your week, your entire future. Then, regret. Something you said yesterday. Something you didn't do last year. It all floods in before your feet have even touched the ground. And this internal chaos has become normal. We call it thinking, planning, being productive. But more often than not, it's noise. We think we're in control of our minds. But if we really pay attention, most of the time our minds are more like an old radio playing in the background. Static, scattered, sometimes terrifying, sometimes seductive, but always on. And worse, we forgot where the switch is. The philosopher Eckhart Tolle put it beautifully. You are not your thoughts, you are the awareness behind them. But we don't live like that. We live inside our thoughts, trapped in a whirlwind of commentary, fear, fantasy, and judgment. We identify with the voice in our head so completely that we forget there's a space beneath it, a silence that can witness it. Buddhism points to something radical, almost rebellious. Don't believe everything you think, because most of what we think isn't true. Not fully. It's shaped by fear, by insecurity, by memory, by trauma, by a culture that tells us we're never enough unless we're achieving, buying, improving, fixing. And so the mind becomes a battleground, a place of comparison, of guilt, of endless craving. But here's the awakening Buddhism offers. You can step outside of that stream. You can learn to see your thoughts as just that. Thoughts, not facts, not commands, not reality. Just flickers on the screen of your awareness. And this is where meditation comes in. Not as some spiritual ritual, but as a practice of remembering. Remembering that you're not the noise. You're the one hearing it. Meditation isn't about escaping life. It's about seeing life clearly. Sitting quietly and watching the mind wander, panic, fantasize, complain, and learning not to get swept away. In that stillness, even if just for a moment, something shifts. You stop being the storm and start becoming the sky. That's awakening in the modern world. Not a dramatic spiritual moment, but the quiet, powerful realization. You are not your fear. You are not your desire. You are not your endless scrolling, comparing, regretting. You are the one who sees. Chapter 3. Meditation, the practice of returning. So many people say the same thing when they first try to meditate. It didn't work. They sit down. They close their eyes. They expect peace, clarity, maybe even enlightenment. But instead, they're met with chaos, a flood of thoughts, random memories, to-do lists, regrets. The mind doesn't go quiet. It gets louder. And that's when they give up. I can't do this. I'm just not good at meditation. But here's the truth. That's the practice. Noticing the storm is the practice. Meditation isn't about having a silent mind. It's about learning to see the mind's noise without getting pulled into it, to sit with it, to watch it, and then to come back. Back to the breath, back to the body, back to this moment just as it is. It's not glamorous, it's not instant, but it's powerful. As the Buddhist monk Ajahn Chah once said, you try to quiet your mind, but what happens? It runs off. That's okay. Your job is to bring it back. That's the whole game. The mind wanders. You bring it back. It wanders again. You bring it back, over and over. Not with frustration, not with judgment, but with gentleness, like guiding a child home again and again. In that returning, something begins to shift. You realize you're not failing, you're strengthening a muscle, the muscle of presence, of awareness, of stillness in motion. Because in our everyday lives, we're constantly pulled by distractions, by noise, by stories in our head. Meditation is the opposite of that pull. It's a return to the space before thought, a return to the breath, the most honest thing we have, a return to now. And in that now, we find something we've been searching for without knowing it. Freedom, not the freedom to escape life, but the freedom to be fully in it, clear, grounded, awake. Meditation isn't about becoming a better person. It's about remembering that you already are one. It's not about reaching some higher state. It's about fully inhabiting this one. Chapter 4. The Crystal Beneath the Mud. Imagine a crystal, clear, radiant, untouched. It catches the light and scatters it in all directions. A quiet brilliance. Now imagine that same crystal dropped into the earth, buried under years of mud. Layer upon layer. Dust from the world, mud from pain, grime from distraction, fear and the ache of not being enough. The crystal is still there, so it hasn't changed, it hasn't dimmed, but now it's hidden. That's you, that's me, that's all of us. At the heart of Buddhist thought is this radical idea: you are not broken, you were never broken, you are buried. Buried beneath everything life has piled on top of you, the expectations, the stories, the masks you've learned to wear, the habits you didn't choose but somehow became. The spiritual path, the inner path, is not about becoming something new. It's about remembering who you were before the mud, before the noise, before the world taught you to forget yourself. And this is why Buddhism is so different from many modern self-help ideologies. It's not about adding more, not more goals, not more affirmations, not even more positivity. What meditation, mindfulness, and ethical living do is slowly, gently wipe the mud away, not all at once. Sometimes a flake at a time. Sometimes just enough to glimpse the glow beneath. And when you do, when you catch that glimpse, you remember something true, your original clarity. And then the path becomes less about striving and more about surrendering. Because beneath all the mud, you're already whole, already shining, already free. If you've made it this far, I want to say thank you. This isn't your usual mindless scroll. We're unpacking deep ideas, and there's more coming every week on philosophy, meaning, psychology, and peace of mind. So if you're enjoying this, consider subscribing. It helps keep these ideas alive in a world that needs them. All right, back to the journey. Let's come back to one of the Buddha's most famous teachings. Desire is the cause of all suffering. Now, this doesn't mean all wanting is bad. It means clinging, needing something to feel complete, is what hurts us. Modern life markets desire to us non-stop. New phone, new life, new you. You're told happiness is just one purchase away, but when you get what you want, how long does that happiness last? That's the trap. And desire doesn't stop when you get what you want. It just moves the goalpost. You only lose what you cling to. Think about that. We're terrified of loss. But it's not the thing being gone that hurts. It's the attachment to it. We cling to people, titles, habits, identities. But everything is impermanent. Buddhism doesn't say, don't love. It says, love fully, without clinging. Hold things gently. Enjoy them while they last. But know they're not you. Freedom comes not from having, but from letting go. Chapter 5. Peace comes from within, Do not seek it without. It's a short quote. It seems simple and maybe even cliché, but it cuts deep. Most of us, if we're honest, are waiting for peace to arrive from outside. We want a peaceful job, a peaceful home, a peaceful partner, a quiet weekend, a better salary, a few fewer emails. We live as if the world owes us serenity, as if peace is something that will finally come when the kids grow up, when we retire, when we fix everything that feels wrong. But Buddhism turns that whole narrative upside down. It whispers something quietly disruptive. You are the source. Peace isn't out there. It's not waiting on perfect circumstances. It's not hiding in a spa retreat or on a remote beach or at the end of your to-do list. It's already within you. Buried, maybe. Overlooked, definitely. But never gone. Here's the paradox. Peace doesn't come from everything going your way. Peace comes when you no longer need everything to go your way, when you stop trying to bend the world to your preferences, when you see clearly that life is change, life is messy, life is unpredictable. And yet, you can still choose calm, still choose acceptance, still choose to respond, not react. This is what makes Buddhist peace so radical. It's not conditional. It's not fragile. It's not dependent on this or on that. This peace, this space, is deeper, more subtle, more real. And from that space, you don't withdraw from life. You engage with it more deeply. Because now you're not reacting. You're responding, not grasping, but giving, not escaping, but arriving, again and again, alive. Chapter 6. Forgiveness. If peace comes from within, then so must forgiveness. In the world around us, forgiveness is often misunderstood. We think it's something we give only when the other person deserves it, when they apologize, when they feel remorse, when they change. But Buddhism invites a different view, one rooted in compassion, not conditions. Remember the crystal, that clear, radiant essence beneath all the mud. Every person, no matter how lost, angry, selfish, or cruel, still has that crystal inside, just like you, just like me. And while their actions may have hurt you, those actions often come from their mud, from fear, ignorance, pain, or delusion. They are not evil at their core. They are simply not awake. This doesn't excuse harm. It doesn't mean you have to tolerate abuse. But it offers a shift from blaming the mud to recognizing the crystal beneath it. When you see people this way, your heart softens. Not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Forgiveness in Buddhism isn't about letting someone off the hook. It's about freeing yourself from the grip of anger, resentment, and revenge. Because here's the paradox. Holding on to hatred doesn't hurt them. It hurts you. It disturbs your inner peace. It keeps your heart in chains. And if your peace truly comes from within, then it doesn't grow by seeing others suffer. It grows by wishing them healing, by letting go, by remembering that they too are human beings covered in mud. Chapter 7. Buddhism in the Now. In a time when burnout is common, social media amplifies insecurity, and consumerism runs our lives. Welcome to a world where the greatest addiction we all have is to our own thoughts. Thoughts that constantly whisper, "You're not enough. You need more. Just a bit further and you'll be happy." It's no wonder Buddhism is seeing a resurgence. People aren't just seeking peace. They're looking for freedom from their own overthinking. Modern life tells us to go faster. Buddhism invites us to slow down. Modern life says, get more. Buddhism whispers, need less. And maybe we're finally starting to listen. It's one thing to understand these ideas. It's another to live them. Buddhism isn't just something to read about. It's something to practice. Every day, And it begins simply by making space. I'm sure you've seen other videos explaining the benefits of meditating, but you've simply gone back to your normal routine. Tomorrow needs to be different for you. The best time to meditate? In the morning, before the world rushes in, before notifications start lighting up your phone, before the anxious thoughts begin trying to steer your day. That quiet space right after waking, when your mind is still soft and open. That's when you can train it. Sit, breathe, watch, return. Even 5 minutes is enough to shift your entire day. So pause the video now and set that morning alarm. No one will do it for you. But meditation doesn't stop when you leave the cushion. It continues in the in-between moments, waiting in a queue, walking between meetings, stirring your tea, standing at the sink. These are the moments we usually fill with scrolling, overthinking, or checking out. But they're also doorways, opportunities to pause, to take a breath, to come back to the present moment, not yesterday, not next week, just now. This is mindfulness in its rawest form, not something fancy, just being here. You don't have to close your eyes or light a candle. Just notice the warmth of the cup in your hand, the sensation of your feet on the ground, the breath moving in and out. That's meditation too. That's the muscle being trained. And the more you practice in these small, ordinary moments, the easier it becomes to stay grounded in the difficult ones. You start living awake, not lost in the mind storm, but rooted in the calm beneath it. That's the path. That's the practice. And it starts right here. Be where you are, otherwise you will miss your life. Thich Nhat Hanh. How much of life do we miss? Waiting for the next thing, waiting for the weekend, waiting for the text, waiting to finally make it. But this moment, this breath, it's all we ever have. Buddhism is an invitation to wake up, not to become passive, but to be so deeply present that you finally see the beauty in what's already here. So, are you awake? Maybe not fully, but maybe, just maybe, you're starting to see just how deeply asleep we've all been. Not in some dramatic science fiction way, but in the ordinary sense. Asleep in our habits, asleep in our thoughts, asleep in the endless chase for more. We've been living on autopilot, scrolling, comparing, craving, regretting, believing every thought that crosses our mind as if it were truth. But Buddhism doesn't judge you for that. It simply offers a gentle nudge, a reminder that you can wake up, that underneath all the mud, the fear, the distraction, the ego is something radiant, untouched, already whole. And while Buddhism doesn't promise a life free from struggle, it does offer a way to meet life with more clarity, more stillness, more grace. You now have the tools. You've learned that desire fuels suffering because it tells us we need more to be enough. Thoughts aren't facts, they're noise, stories, habits of the mind. Meditation is the practice of returning, not escaping, just noticing. Peace isn't found when the world is perfect. It's found when we stop needing it to be. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, because everyone is a crystal under their mud. And presence, in all its simplicity, is where your life is actually happening. So what now? If you want to feel real, tangible improvements, start tomorrow. When you wake up, don't grab your phone, don't scroll, don't dive straight into someone else's noise. Instead, sit, breathe. 5 minutes, just 5. Notice your thoughts. Let them pass. Return to the breath. It won't be perfect. It doesn't need to be. Then, as you move through your day, practice presence in the mundane. While brushing your teeth, waiting for the kettle, walking down the hall. Choose to return to now, not yesterday, not next week. Now, because this moment is all you've ever had, and the more often you return to it, the more awake you become. If this resonated with you, even just one line, drop a comment below. Tell me what hit you. Was it the part about chasing happiness, the noise in your head, the idea that you are not your thoughts? Let's start a conversation. Let's build a community of people who are done sleeping through life. People who want to live with eyes open, hearts soft, and minds clear. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. We are just getting started. In future videos, we'll explore other thinkers who've grappled with the same questions. Marcus Aurelius, on stillness and inner strength in the chaos of empire. G.E. Moore, on the nature of goodness and the clarity of everyday truths. And many more, from Stoicism to existentialism to Taoism. Because waking up isn't a one-time event, it's a practice, a path, a rebellion against unconscious living. So, take a breath. Come back to the now. And I'll see you in the next one.